Kim Ross, Kaizen Living. If you haven't listened to my introduction yet on YouTube, I do have a short separate video that tells you a little bit about myself. But briefly, I'm an energy healer, a coach, law of attraction, and otherwise a life coach, as well as a Reiki master. And today I'd like to start a series of videos that is based on a curriculum that I put together for a beginning class about law of attraction, or also called Art of Allowing. Manifestation may be another word that you heard. But the title of this course is called Say Yes. And that is because the very simple act of saying yes over and over again is going to unlock so many of the barriers that we have to just allowing the good that is meant to manifest for us in our lives. And I'll apologize, my gaze is going to shift from side to side because I'm looking at my notes on the other side of the screen. I hope you don't find that too distracting. But the first step in saying yes is to uncover the ways that we say no. And I'm going to share some information with you that came to me through my teacher, Jessica Alstrom at Transcendence Wellness Center in the Kansas City area, actually in Overland Park, Kansas. I'm also very influenced by Abraham Hicks and other teachers. So nothing I'm going to say is really new information. But as is always the case, sometimes we hear things differently than from one teacher than another. So my claim is not that this is anything original. Perhaps the way I put it together is a little different than you may have heard before. Well, seeing how we say no, and seeing how we block manifestation from happening is very important. And there are many ways that this occurs, and I just have a really short list here. But first of all, we refuse things. We refuse gifts. We refuse help. We apologize for things that we shouldn't. We hold on to things that no longer serve us, and therefore we block new from coming in. And we think because it hasn't worked before, it won't work this time. Maybe this is an effort we've made before and we've sort of thrown up our hands, but it is worth doing all over again. And you may hear Louie, my dog, occasionally, so Louie's part of this whole process. We might believe that we are unworthy. That's kind of a big one for many of us. We believe that we can't change our reality. We're afraid that we can't handle it, handle what we might manifest. And we believe that it's because, if something arises that it is not exactly what we've asked for, then we think that then our desires did not get answered, when in fact, if something manifests that's not quite what we asked for, it actually could be a doorway into something else. As I said, there's just so many ways that we say no. And I'd like you to just take a moment and ponder a little bit, what are some of the ways that you kind of block things? What are the ways that you say no? And just think about perhaps in the last week or two, has someone offered to help you? Has someone offered a gift? Have you had a strong intuition to accept something or open your heart to something, and you've used your logical mind to shut that down, to say, well, that doesn't make sense, But truly, we have to trust our gut. Manifestation is active. It's not passive. And really, when we stop saying no and start saying yes, that becomes much easier. Sometimes, as I said, these saying yes to smaller things, it might not appear that it's what we want. Saying yes to smaller things actually can lead us to the bigger thing that we truly want. And I have a small story of manifestation that is just an illustration of this. You know, it's not something that resulted in some big, huge occurrence, but it was something that happened that provided me with something that I really, truly did want. But it came by saying yes to something that I didn't quite think filled the bill. Last year, when I still lived in the Kansas City area, I started being an Airbnb host. And I thought, you know, I'd probably have a guest once a month. I lived in a small 2-bedroom house. I had 1 bedroom set up, of course, for myself. The other bedroom was actually set up as an office, a small, very small room. And so I had a day bed in the office, and I thought, well, you know, this rare occasion that I'm going to have an Airbnb guest, I will just sleep in the office and I'll rent out my master bedroom. So I had it very fixed up as a nice guest space. And as soon as my Airbnb business started, I was inundated with guests, and soon realized that I might never see my master bedroom again if I didn't change how I was doing things. So I cleaned out my office. I moved my bed from the master bedroom into the guest room because it was a double bed, full-size bed, and it would fit better. And I had been thinking that I really wanted to get a queen-size bed for my bedroom, although I really had no means to do that. But I thought, well, I'm going to make space for this. And so I moved the day bed from my office into my room to temporarily use as my own bed. And so I could reclaim my bedroom, however humble it might be. I fixed up the guest bedroom beautifully and continued to have 1 Airbnb guest after another, some more extended visits, and it was wonderful. But as I was doing that, moving around, I remember telling 2 of my coworkers at the time what I had done, and that, you know, I really did want to be able to get a queen bed. I had not had a queen bed in years. I was wanting the space, yada, yada, yada. And so within 3 days after I made that shift in furniture, a very good friend of mine posted on Facebook that because her mother-in-law was needing to go into a care home and would not be returning to her home, they were farming out her furniture. And did anyone need a queen-size bed? And so, you know, I knew this friend very well, and so I contacted her, and she said, absolutely, you know, we would love to give it to you. It's several years old, but it's been very well cared for. It's very clean, you know, etc. And so they really wanted it moved that weekend. So I made arrangements to rent a U-Haul van that I could transport this mattress with. And so on that Saturday, I went to pick up the van, and my debit card would not work, and just to no avail. And so I had to call her and beg forgiveness, and so even though I know it was an inconvenience for them, they very graciously allowed me to come the next weekend. And the next weekend came. I went and I got the rental. Everything went smoothly. Card worked. And as I was leaving the rental place, my friend called and she said, you know, I think we have something better for you. I said, well, that sounds good. So I get to her mother-in-law's home, and there had been another queen-size bed that a family member was going to take and change their mind. That bed was 1 month old. Her mother-in-law had barely had it, brand new, beautiful quality. It was amazing. And along with that, a really beautiful bed frame. None of these things are things I could have afforded at the time. So I very gratefully packed up the truck and moved my essentially brand new queen-size bed and frame into my master bedroom, which I had just made room for this item just barely a week before. So if I had not said yes to the older bed set, I would not have had the new one come available because I would have already picked the older one up because my debit card would have worked. And you see where I'm going. I said yes first to something that wasn't quite what I had in mind. And that led to what I really truly wanted and had made space for. Very key. So we're going to talk a lot more about that coming up. But I want to keep these chapters fairly short for you, and I'll be recording more in the very near future. Again, I'm Kim Ross. I'm with Kaizen Living, Kaizen, and that means change for the better, body, mind, and spirit. My email is kim@kaizenliving.org. I hope to hear from you. Thank you. Bye-bye.